Diamond down in your guapo, 20 in that handy in case a nigga could chop up. Look like someone like no milk in that baby bottle. Bumping that metro boom and said fuck it, just let the shots roll. Fuck it, just let the shots roll. Chasing la la, I know. Crazy nigga like you don't.
Oh, the herbal's just running at us. Hell yeah.
You know on the yachty that on the video inside it. Homie fuck the rap and we pulling up with the shotty. Yeah.
Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back and thanks for joining me on another guide video. I'm going to have another code giveaway for this one as well, so stick through to the end if you want the details on that. But today we're looking at the next down the line of the Mercenary units, with the Mercenary Pikemen. In total, this is probably going to be quite a bit shorter than a lot of the other guides, because they're definitely a very limited unit in how you can get their value out of them. But I still want to go over it, because some pretty small tips can change them from being completely useless to a pretty decent throwaway unit to use for baiting hero charges, breaking through a line for your team, or just charging into a giant melee ball to make sure that your team has the numbers to zerg through it. But before I start on that, we'll start with the unit tree and the veterancy lines. So in the tree, the Mercenary Pikes sit side by side with the Mercenary Spears in cost as the most expensive mercenaries, coming in at 700,000 silver or 4,900 sovereigns, and neither are cheap. And like all mercenaries, you will need to have the equivalent era already unlocked. So for these, you're going to need to be in the silver era already in order to unlock them. Then for the veterancy skills, all mercenaries come with their veterency points already applied. So as always, what you see is what you get in terms of the unit stats from the start. The only additions you can make to that are through the doctrines. However, since they do start at max level, all 5 doctrine slots are immediately open to use as soon as you unlock the unit. Now, if we look at the stats and the skills on the unit, we know that all mercenary units are supposed to be weaker versions of their era equivalents, and so it's no surprise that the Prefecture Pikes get some pretty noticeable advantages stat-wise. But in the skill list is where you see them separate themselves a little bit from the Prefectures, and surprisingly it's not the actual skills itself, there's no bonus skills for them. Both units come with the starting charge skill, and they both rely on that skill heavily to get any use of them. However, the mercenaries get immediate access to the column or the arrowhead F3 formation, whereas the prefectures have to unlock that formation in the veterancy line, and it's this formation in combination with the charge skill that makes them in any way viable, and it's definitely important to know when and where to throw them in, because they are the single most leadership expensive mercenary unit at 150 leadership. You need to use them wisely and quickly if you're going to get your return on them. And we'll start taking a look at that here in some sieges. So right out the gate, Mercenary Pikes are absolutely a throwaway unit, and ones that you want to throw away as soon as possible. Now if you saw my other video on the Mercenary Spears, I mentioned that they were a unit to use up first and let die quickly as well, so that you could get other more important units on the field. The pikemen follow suit with that idea, except that unlike the spears, they become almost completely useless on the field after the first push, and so it's even more important to be up in the front line with them right away, getting in some good charges, or using them to advance for your team with siege towers or pushing back enemies, etc. Knowing where to place your pikes to anticipate a perfect opportunity and baiting enemy heroes into their charge lane is hands down going to be the single best use for this unit. Initially, up a ramp of a siege tower is probably the best area to get a good bait charge in, but it's a pretty simple rule of thumb to put it as the more narrow the area that you can charge into, the better. Enemy heroes can simply sidestep a pike charge, and it's pretty telegraphed and easy to see coming if you're paying attention, so the wider the area, the more chance to escape. But you can still definitely get good charges outside of what you'd consider to be a perfect charging lane. It just has a lot more to do with timing and trying to catch the enemy by surprise. Take for example, once you've gotten past the ramps and are pushing for your first objective, you know there's going to be plenty of enemy heroes there defending, but there's going to be a bunch of units too, and you want to try and avoid those units and get to the heroes. Being the second charge in line can be great for this. Once your team moves up and there's a melee clash in the middle, this is when you're going to see all the enemy heroes moving up to the front of the line and supporting their units. And by following up with a second charge, you get a good chance of knocking out some of those heroes before they know what hit them. There are odd situations though, where charging mercenary pikes into enemy lines can be extremely effective, but it's much harder to plan for those because it's a weak unit and hard to get into the rear of your enemy without losing them or being noticed. So instead, it's just the kind of opportunity that you'll know when you see it, and you take it if it's there. Like in this clip, a line of spear sergeants comes up behind my allies, ready to pincer them into a slaughter box. But with their backs exposed, one low-level pike charge to their rear completely obliterates the entire enemy unit in seconds, allowing my team to continue their push, and without being locked into combat, the pikes can now retreat for the cooldown and cycle in another charge. Cycling the charges will take a lot of practice in getting to notice the perfect gaps in a line, break in for a big damage burst, and get them back out without losing too many men. Ideally, you'll be able to find a couple quick charges that can kill and delay enemy heroes, but it's important not to leave them on the field too long looking for the perfect opportunity. And so sometimes after getting one good charge already, it's better to use their charge as a delay and a distraction while you retreat your hero to follow up with better units. And this can be especially true on defense. It's almost never the better option to leave your pikes engaged in combat after they charge in, and so if possible, always pull them out after to cool down for at least a second charge before letting them die. However, in some circumstances where there's giant melee clashes going on, your unit will either get lucky and not take the brunt of the damage, allowing them to assist the battle getting some extra free damage in, or they will get focused and they'll take the damage for your allies' stronger units, allowing them to do their jobs and stay alive. But either way, it's going to be helping your team overall. Lastly, when the enemy has pushed into your objective and nobody wants to be the one to lose their unit getting a foot into delay for the team, this is your time to shine. They'll charge in quickly and start the delay, and that's usually enough to inspire your team around you to push in as well, instead of just straight abandoning the objective. And a lot of times it's the single turnaround that buys enough time for your team to follow up and hold off for one more push.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to say that I wouldn't.
Oh.
Look at all those shields.
And with that, we'll call it an end for the video here. So thank you for watching, and I hope this was able to help you decide if the Mercenary Pikemen are worth adding to your roster. But before we cut off, there is still the giveaway to go over. So continuing on with all the other giveaways, all you have to do to enter is to like the video, be subscribed to the channel, and leave me a comment below. This time for the comment, I'd like to hear back from you guys about which non-golden cavalry unit is your favorite to bring into siege battles and why. So thanks again for watching everyone, and have a good one. Take care.